Welcome back. You're watching Newscentre. Subsidies of close to 12 electric vehicle companies remain suspended on allegations of flouting the localization and phased manufacturing program criteria under the FAME scheme. Testing agencies like the Automotive Research Association of India and International Centre for Automotive Technology are verifying whistleblower complaints against several companies by visiting their factories and examining production and supply chain records. Recently, the agencies are also verifying complaints received against Ola Electric, TVS and Ather Energy. One for selling vehicles above 1.5 lakhs, which is the price cap under FAME, and secondly, for sourcing components indirectly through a maze of companies to avail subsidies. Sources tell us the government is in the process of putting in more checks and balances in the disbursement of subsidies through the FAME scheme and may also hand over the probe into misappropriation of subsidies to an investigating agency. Let me now go across to Sohinder Singh Gill, Director General, Society of Manufacturers of Electric Vehicles, also the CEO of Hero Electric. Hero Electric, Mr. Gill, is one of the companies, along with Okinawa and others, whose subsidies have been suspended for several months now. Has there been any recent communication with the government? Does the government tell us on how it intends to move further with its probe?
Yeah, lately there have been, Parikshit, active discussions with the government on how to sort it out, because now, if you know, 95% of the players constituting almost that much of volume in the industry are under some form of scrutiny or other. So there has to be some sort of a solution that comes out of it. And we have been having a lot of meetings with the government officials on how to resolve, how to sort it out.
Right. Have they sought more information from you? We believe ARAI, ICAT are visiting factories. They are studying the production lines. They're studying records of supply chains, production records as well. Is that process still underway at your factories?
All these scrutinies are based on those anonymous mails. And most of the OEMs have undergone that checks months and months ago. For example, in the month of April, May, or June of last year. And I'm not aware about Ola, Ather, etc. that you are naming, whether something has started on their end, but almost all others, that check and balance has already happened.
Right. Give us a sense of how it is impacting the working of the EV industry, because we believe that there are subsidies for 12 companies which have been suspended. Whenever there is a complaint against any other company, the disbursement of subsidies slows down. So for a company like Hero Electric, give us a sense of how it has been impacting your operation on a month-on-month basis.
To a certain extent, it's a working capital issue, because it's mostly to do with the money that we have from our own funds passed on to the customers long back. Something like 15 months back, and we were supposed to be reimbursed that money back from the government. So it's not that we have received and passed on, we have already passed on and not received. So this results into a working capital crisis. Fortunately for us, we have family funding and we have banks with us. So the impact is mitigated to a large extent, but we could have done much, much more than what we are doing at present, had this type of a crisis not been precipitated because of such a long-term type of long time being taken for the solution.
What kind of a production hit have you taken, Mr. Gill, and to what extent, to what percentage has your working capital been impacted?
We have done, we will be crossing 1,200 crores turnover. No, sorry, 1,000 crores turnover, which is 25% higher than the last year. So year on year, we are doing much better, 20% growth over last year. But we could have done something like 50% more than that. And the working capital has been squeezed by around 400 crores in our case.
We widely know that electric vehicle makers are currently suffering losses per vehicle because of the battery cost. So give us a sense, keeping that in mind, how could this probe and suspension of subsidies impact some of the players? There are more than 10 to 12 companies which are under investigation right now. How could this affect some of the newer entrants which are being probed currently?
In fact, Parikshit, none of the companies, including the new ones, had made any money or any profits since inception. So we're all used to it. But in addition to the battery cost, because of EAS 156 phase 2, there has been certainly cost increases, which many of the companies are even absorbing. But more than that, we are now hearing that the 1 million target of Ministry of Heavy Industry for supporting this electric vehicle is soon going to be over. And we are not sure after that, after a few months, maybe 2 or 3 months, whether there'll be any subsidy left for anybody in the space to pass on to the customer. So perhaps we are in for a no subsidy regime as far as it needs, we know, unless there is a transparency on that in the coming few weeks so that the business plan can be tweaked accordingly.
Right. We also hear that the government could file an FIR, hand over the probe to an investigating agency. Have you got a sense from the government on how this matter could proceed in the days to come? We believe that the internal probe of the government is over, Mr. Gill.
There are 2 or 3 levels of what we hear from associations. There are 2 or 3 types of scrutinies. See, one of them is not in case of 2-wheelers, but 3-wheelers where they have been using, for example, lead batteries in place of lithium, which certainly is a matter of seriousness and therefore probe. Second is like breaching that 150,000 rupees and sort of selling things outside of that and getting the subsidy. This also may be escalated to, some sort of investigation. And the third level is localization. In localization, basically it is all certified vehicles, fully FAME certified, CMVR certified vehicles continue to be sold. Only the vendor A could not change to vendor B in time. And therefore there's a delay from vendor A to vendor B. So out of perhaps the whole industry has sold around 3 lakh vehicles under this type of a delay. One will have to go to each vehicle and see where they were 98% compliant, 60% compliant, 70% compliant, and accordingly form a solution rather than say, even if it is 2% not compliant, the subsidy should be 0. I think we are heading for a proportionality type of a solution in this case.
Right. All right, Mr. Gill, thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC TV18. Let's see what happens in the days to come as the government concludes its probe into these cases of misappropriation of FAME subsidies and flouting of the phased manufacturing norms as well. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Newscentre. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.